Nitinandam, everyone. Just wanted to share a little bit from the space of satsang. And of course, Swamiji was sharing a lot today about and demonstrating about living spiritual truths and living spiritual powers and living integrity to the truth of the universe over what your personal choice and liking might be. And I just think that there's a lot of similarities about like how this relates specifically to, whether like actually taking a spiritual solution. So, we look at like solutions to our life and what we're looking at getting. And really, the only solution in the end is if we're able to align to our inner space and align to the source of us, align to the source of things, align to the source of everything. If we're able to do that, then we can always be in alignment with everything that's going on, not have conflict, and be in agreement. So that is ultimately the solution, and is a spiritual solution. So it's not that something outside is going to lead us to that kind of solution. So we have to take a choice to expand inside and make the solution inside. And that is really the practice, the spiritual practice of compassion. So rather than compassion being some reaction or some need to change other people or what's going on inside, practicing compassion to them is really about having a deeper inner space, which in this case means integration with Paramashiva, integration with the source consciousness. So because we have initiation from Swamiji, from a living incarnation, we have opportunity to use Mahavakya. So many specific techniques, but that one in particular, to have us experience that space of completion. And from that space, see the manifestation of our will or our powers of spiritual Shaktis as the proof of our experience of that space. So there's a lot of things about having that kind of space and how it gets used and what we do with it. And so that's the thing basically in our life is we have two options. When anything happens in our life, we can go inside and have more spiritual solution and more completion with everything that happens in life, or we can react saying that there's something wrong with the world and build that as an incompletion, as a functioning point for our existence in the world. And so, of course, this is what we see with people who abuse Swamiji and Sangha. And it's not enough to just say that, oh, I'm a Hindu. It's just I'm attacking you and your Sangha and your practices because somehow, spiritual powers are not part of Hinduism. And which is pretty funny. Or like, what else could you possibly say, right? Logic, like a guru speaking something you don't understand, rather than like the opportunity to experience something bigger, it's like, let's attack that. Like that kind of thing, that can work in like dance clubs and like even in politics and stuff like that, maybe even in law. But that kind of thing where it's like, attacking one's character, like in popularity contests in media, that can work in media. But like in in the enlightenment tradition of the planet Earth, it was never ever was the reaction to a guru saying or doing something that you don't understand. The reaction was never like, as part of the Enlightenment civilization, the proven sciences of, solution to human life was never like belittling. It's a very grade school kind of response to life. So we have the opportunity to look inside, right, and like find the bigger response. So It's pretty funny. So that's one aspect of like people attacking Sangha as like somehow not Hindu, right? That's not real Hinduism, or that's fake Hinduism. Okay, like I mean, Hindus, we live ahimsa, right? We live nonviolence. So, it's like we understand in the space of consciousness, in the space of Throbhava, that delusion exists. And, it's very addictive and it can be very thick. So it's like, so that is kind of the fundamental starting point understanding of Hindus, is that we are all expressions of the superconsciousness. So we understand different levels of delusion. So it's not that we're going to say you don't exist or you don't have a right to exist and we have to destroy you, as a way, like as a fundamental response in our life to people who are attacking or abusing. It's like we understand the delusion is there. So that is one aspect. But part of the other funny part is, you know what? See, anyone who wants to make this is why it's like, see, even what is our own history, right? Even our own personal history is just our interpretation and our emotions added upon our interpretation of what was the reality. It's only my world, my interpretation of what was happening in the world. It's my world, not even that world of what was happening in my past. It's my world, my interpretation of that world, coupled with all my emotional incompletions now of how I remember my past or the history. And how that impacts me now is even beyond my understanding. It's even beyond that level illogical. To the extent that I cognize it and can explain it is one thing, but its impact on me is beyond that. It's not entirely controlled or determined by my understanding of it. It happens subconsciously. So to say that, what I even think of as history, what the story of history has been, how it's been interpreted, that is somehow true, is obviously not the case. Even history is made up by whoever's telling the story and what their interpretation was and my understanding. So even history is made up. So what about current news? And media itself is all about just creating a visual representation of something with emotion. So that's funny, because this is the way that, and this is why we have to clearly see that these are anti-Hindu forces, because it's like, what is really going on, right? It's the attack on all Hindu gurus. And how do they do that, right? They mostly just slandering the guru, right? So first you have to isolate the guru from Sangha, and isolate the guru as an individual from the society, right? You have to somehow, so even if it's saying like, oh, they have yogic powers, like, how crazy is that? Right? Or they're talking, hey, this guru says stuff that we don't understand. What a crazy person. Isn't that crazy? It's like the kids on the football field picking teams, and the captains take teams picking people, and they're like, oh, that kid is wearing a pink shirt, so I'm not going to take him. Isn't he crazy? Yeah, he's crazy. We won't pick him. Like, in that context of like, schoolyard childhood, it has sway. But in the context of like life, and beyond just like, making a YouTube video that says a bunch of bad stuff, because here's the thing, right? I can take right, here's a picture. Here's a picture of someone. I put a black cover over it so you can't see who that person is. But what I'm going to do is I got my little list here, and you know what? This person's bad. I'm not going to show you the picture yet, but this person's bad. No, you know what else? This person, see inside, there's a picture, right? Inside here, there's a picture. So you haven't seen it yet, but inside there's a picture there. This person inside there, that picture, that person is bad. That person does a lot of bad things, like really bad things. I'm going to say a whole lot of bad things that person does, right? here's a big list. All these things. I'm just going to take my time here. I'm just going to list all these things. This person that is the picture is behind this black shield. That person does many bad things. And I'm going to name a lot of bad things. Isn't that a bad person? No, see, I'm not revealing the face or who that person is yet, but I'm telling you here, this person, I'll reveal it shortly. This person's very bad person. Aren't they a bad person? Are you getting me? You see what I'm saying? They're a bad person. Are you catching it? They do bad things. Here, they do a lot of bad things. They say silly things. They don't like people. They say mean things to people. You're getting the gist, I think, how bad of a person this is. Now, I'm going to reveal who this person is pretty soon. And what is going to be your impression? So history is one story that is made up in one way or another. And of course, news is the same thing. There's no reason to think that it should be anything different. So I'm telling a story about this person. All I have to do is next, because now, right, I've created this image of Hindu guru, right? See, until that time, Hindu gurus are just going on giving things to society based in Sanatana Dharma. But the first thing I need to do, if I'm going to make a targeted attack on Hindus, is, you have to single someone out. Who is the person you're saying is evil, right? You have to somehow say who they are, and it's not going to be by saying good things, right? It's going to be by like if I just made up a couple things. If I sat here for a couple hours, right, and uploaded a bunch of different videos, hey, what about this? Right? What about this one? What about this one? And just look at how bad. Now I'm going to reveal who is that bad character, right? So I've gone and isolated that Hindu guru from society or from what we think of as good or from their sangha or whatever, right? Now they've been created as someone who can be destroyed because they're isolated. And we have bad thoughts about them. So isolated, bad thoughts about them, probably they're not healthy thing going on, right? So next thing, make up a bunch of stories and start agitating things, start attacking the devotees, right? So guru is isolated, so no kind of way of protecting that aspect. Now, the sangha is there. Let's start making problems with these people. Start breaking them up as much as possible. And let's just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, saying a whole bunch of bad stuff. It's a pretty simple equation. That's exactly what you do in grade school, right? That person is a poo-poo head. So first you're defining characteristics of this one person, right? So that you're isolating them a bit. Then any of their friends, you start saying, hey, Nelson's a poo-poo. Nelson's a poo-poo bum-bum. Right? So now the Johnny thinks Nelson is also a poo-poo bum-bum. Then you go to Susie and say, hey, Susie, me and Johnny, no, Nelson's a poo-poo bum-bum. Now these three people are thinking, oh, maybe that's the case. Right? Then we go on saying these bad things and maybe writing on, put a kick me sign on Nelson, and maybe put in the lunchtime when the teacher's not there, we draw a silly face on the chalkboard and put an arrow saying Nelson. Now it's like all these attacks going on Nelson. The whole school started to think, oh, maybe Nelson's a poo-poo bum-bum. Then I should not kind of be with him so much. So this is how immature the attacks are. But, so that's one aspect. The other aspect is, in our situation, you actually can't use the argument that Nityananda Sangha is somehow a fake Hindu organization or somehow has a fake guru, or somehow it's teaching fake things, and still say that you support Hinduism or authentic Sanatana Dharma or something. You can't use that argument. And I'll tell you why. Because we're not just talking about like me and my friends in my treehouse hanging out, eating popsicles and chestnuts and making videos. That's not what we're talking about. Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Parameswaram is recognized and elected leader of at least 20. Okay, I'm not saying one. I'm not saying one organization that he created or one university that he created, right? And actually in this number, I'm not even counting the 37 temples and adiyams around the world and the many other centers. So those are not even counted. It's not one. It's not like, oh, he's good. There's, a certain amount of people or whatever that are following him. Like, that's nice. So it's not just one organization. It's not just 2 or 3 or 4. It's not just 5 or 6. And it's not just what he's created by himself. And it's not just, say, 15 major organizations in the world of Hinduism. It's not just that. It's also 2 of the biggest, and the number of this will be more. I'm just thinking of 2 specifically, but it's also 2 of the biggest and oldest, and means the very biggest and very oldest, and central, lasting, historical, and till today, the biggest, central, apex, most important, founding, debating, sustaining, maintaining, planning, active organization. So it's not just something from the past. It's not something that just sprung up. It's Mahanirvaniyakara and Atalakara. So Swamiji is Mahamangaleshwar of Mahanirvaniyakara and Acharya Mahamangaleshwar, which means kind of like leading teacher, the leading teacher of an entire akara, while he's also head of another akara. So there's 13 major akaras in Hinduism, and Swamiji is unanimously elected head of 2 of them, including one is Acharya Mahamangaleshwar, which is extremely high ranking. Not only that, there's a governing body of these 13 organizations of Hinduism globally. Their leader was just reelected about a month ago. Narendra Giriji, his name is, and was reelected. I believe it's a 5-year term as the president of of the governing body of these 13 akaras. And he has recognized Swamiji as a completely unique leader who is a world leader and will continue to be a world leader. And he said this, and I might have to put a link here so you can see it. He has said that Swamiji will lead the world as a spiritual leader, not just a Hindu leader, as a spiritual leader. And he said that all children should he had arranged that all the children from organizations that he is part of would take initiation from Swamiji and learn through his Gurukul. So to that extent, it's been recognized. So if someone wants to say that somehow this is fake guru, fake organization, fake Hinduism, it's like you're not just attacking a couple people in a treehouse, and not just one guru, one incarnation, not just Swamiji, but Swamiji was also coordinated as Bhagavan Nityananda, which required 1,000 of the world's Hindu leaders to bestow that name upon him. So it's not just that he's head of, he's created several of the world's largest organizations, including 37 adinams around the world, and the world's largest free online university, and started the world's only Hindu nation. So many other things are there. And the most watched spiritual leader on YouTube, right? Not just that. He's also head of more than 20 different organizations, and this includes the major, lasting, historical, and modern organizations of Hinduism that he was unanimously elected to be the head of by the current leaders of the Hindu world. So he didn't get to be Mahamaleshwar of Mahanirvani Akara by accident. The leaders of that Akara have to elect him as that. So a group of major leaders of one of the 2 or 3 largest, oldest, major apex Hindu organizations elected him as that. And another Akara has recognized him as their Acharya Mahamaleshwar. So the entire 2 of the entire biggest, oldest, world-leading Hindu organizations and their leaders, and the Acharya Mahamaleshwar of one of those organizations chose Swamiji. So if you're saying this Sangha is somehow fake Hinduism, fake Guru, you're not only discounting Swamiji and this Sangha, but all of Hinduism, almost the entire Hindu world, that Swamiji has been appointed as leader of and is head of more than 20 different organizations, including things like Kailasa Nation and the world's largest Hindu university, and Tandalya Mandala Adinam. Many organizations are there. And it involves that kind of thing. 1,000 of the world's Hindu leaders electing Swamiji as that. And an entire Akara that has like 100,000 temples under its purview. And the leader of the 13 Akaras elected as president, who is the head of 1 million Hindu monks, and all of the 13 Akaras in Hinduism, also says Swamiji is that, and that all the children should be initiated through him, and that he will be a world leader, not just the Hindu world leader. So you're attacking the Akaras and the president of the Akara and all of their intelligence and all of their knowledge, Mahanirvani Akara, and Atalakara, and the Acharya Mahamaleshwar of Atalakara, and so many other names, Satya Sai Baba, who also recognized and coronated Swamiji as the inheritor and head of the Bhagyanagra Adinam, and gifted the sacred padukas and sacred crown and the scepter. And Ramana Maharishi, who also said, recognized that Swamiji would come as a leader from Tiruvannamalai. And Sheshadri Swamigal, who told that Swamiji's, one of Swamiji's gurus, Kupumal, told her mother, your daughter will be the mother who will take care of the father, Arunachala, when he comes. Swamiji, of course, was born in Tiruvannamalai, where Arunachala is the mountain of Paramashiva. So Sheshadri Swamigal also. And the list goes on and on and on. So it's like, so it's an insult to Narendra Giriji and the governing body of all 13 Akaras, and Mahanirvani Akara, and all of their Mahamaleshwars, who also recognized Swamiji as a great incarnation of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, and Atal Akara, whose Acharya Mahamaleshwar recognizes Swamiji as Acharya Mahamaleshwar for Atal Akara, and Satya Sai Baba, Ramana Maharishi, Sheshadri Swamigal, Annamalai Swamigal, who's a direct disciple of Ramana Maharishi, and Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, who is a great incarnation who lived in Tiruvannamalai, and Raghavati Yogi, who's a great yogi who lived in Tiruvannamalai, and the list goes on and on and on. So you cannot say fake guru, you cannot say fake Hinduism, you cannot say swindling, nothing like that, unless you are attacking the entire history and the entire, even current pantheon, you could say, of Hindu leaders to the highest level, the very highest level, and the recent incarnations also who's recognized Swamiji's coming. So you cannot say fake guru, but I support Hinduism. You do not. In your twisted mind, you may say that. But as per the evidence, that is not possible. Discounting every judgment, every knowledge, every investigation, every analysis of Swamiji's organization, what he's teaching, what he does, is it authentically aligned to agamas? The Acharya Mahanaleshwar of Atal Akara came and investigated Swamiji's Adinam more than once to see how he's running it. Is it aligned to agama? How authentic is it? He's an Acharya Mahamaleshwar, almost the guru of all the other Mahamaleshwars in Hinduism to an extent. And the only thing that he found was that traditionally the female Swamis may or may not be called Swamini. He knows the level, the height of a step, how it should be, stepping up and down to a temple platform. And the only thing, after investigating and analyzing the whole Swamiji's creation of temple and Adinam, was he's saying there traditionally we may or may not call female Swamis as Swamini. To that extent, he investigated and known Swamiji for years, of course. And the only suggestion is this one small thing. So anyway, it's a joke for anyone to say that they can attack Swamiji and call themselves as Hindus. You're either ignorant, I mean, you are, or intensely violent. So that whole argument doesn't work. That I support Hinduism, I support Hindus, but this is fake. Then you're attacking every single institution that is running and elected and passed on through time of the major Hindu organizations today. And so many of the recent incarnations of Hinduism also, and so much they've contributed. So I'm just going to end it on that because I think that's enough for today. And yeah, so I actually wanted to close this session with a quotation from Swamiji from today's satsang. How we are treated doesn't take away our divinity. How we respond to our situation proves our divinity. So let's respond with more compassion and more integrity. And we'll close with Purna Mantra. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nityananda Paramashiva Paruka